Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Green Line Train Protection and Track Upgrades public meeting. We're so pleased that you're with us this evening. We're going to go slowly into the beginning of our presentation to let people sign in. So I'll wait a moment and then we will start with our slides. Thanks again for joining us this evening. We have a robust and informative presentation. I hope you're going to enjoy it and learn a lot. Just again, we're going to wait a couple of minutes to let people sign in. Welcome. And we will start our presentation in about a minute or two.
Did you begin the closed captioning or not yet? This is Russian interpreters talking.
We're going to begin it at slide 3.
Okay.
So while people are signing in, I'd like to introduce you to tonight's presentation. We are going to have a Q&A session for community members by each specific branch. And of course, we'll allow time to answer questions and comments from the attendees. If you have questions and you want to put them in writing, we'll tell you how to do that, but you can always reach us at glt@mbta.com. We'll go to slide 2. So this slide shows our commitment to diversity and civil rights. All MBTA activities are free of discrimination, and you can see in this, this slide that we are experienced and committed to Title VI. And this evening we have interpreters for Spanish, Chinese, and Russian. And we're going to tell you in a moment how to get oriented and how to choose those different languages on slide 3. So you can click interpretation. You should see a small globe on the lower right segment of the screen. You can click Spanish, Chinese, and Russian. You also need to, all the English speakers need to click English. So click on the globe right now and choose the language that you'd like to use: English, Spanish, Chinese, and Russian. It says French. Nope, that's just an example. All right, we're safe. And I'll wait just a moment so that those who are joining us can choose their language. Again, you go to the small globe on the lower right corner of your screen and choose the language. And you must choose English if you would like to hear the presentation in English. And we'll pause for another minute or so. Okay, looks like people have made some choices here. Okay. All right, let's go to slide 4. So if you have a technical question about Zoom or the features of the meeting, please use the chat function and send us a note. And our assistant will try to troubleshoot your problem. Please provide an email so we can get back to you and help you solve that problem. Okay, let's move on. We also are offering closed captioning. You could see also at the bottom of your screen, there should be a CC closed captioning option. And I don't see it at the moment, but I'm sure it's coming. It's already there, says Heidi. And subtitle settings. They may have changed what they call things. And you can choose captions and the display size that you'd like to see. Sorry for that. I'm using the old format of Zoom in my head. All right, let's go to our safety moment as we begin to go more deeply into our presentation. So it's really important for us at Capital Transformation to have a safety moment and a focus on safety. So what we'd like to remind you is that very important to cross tracks only at designated and marked locations. We'd like to remind you to look both ways before crossing and be sure not to be distracted by your phone, by talking with someone, by looking around. We want you to stay safe. So it's really important to us that you do so. And we'll go on to our agenda, to our meeting agenda. So as I mentioned, we're going to talk a lot. We're going to give you a lot of information tonight about Capital Transformation and this project. And as you can see from the agenda, we'll start from an introduction to the program and move to a review of the actual Green Line transformation process so you can learn exactly what it is. We'll share the key design elements of the process and considerations for each branch, which may be different. And we'll also provide our plans for alternative service during the surges and give you an overview of our outreach methods. As I said before, between each branch, between the presentation on each branch, we will pause to have questions and answers so that while the information is fresh in your mind, you'll be able to ask a question then. We'll take as many as we can. If we have to move on, please do get back to us by writing to us at glt@mbta.com. But we believe we'll be able to answer most of your questions. Presentation, we'll pause at the end and answer questions, hear your comments, and then move on to the next branch. We're in the order of B, C, E, and then D. And then we'll have some wind up information for you. And as you heard, we are recording tonight because we want to make this information broadly accessible to all our riders, neighbors, and the community. So the presentation will be available online at mbta.com/GLT. It takes us a couple of days, but so if you don't see it, please come back again or send us a note and we'll let you know when we anticipate that it will be posted. So with that, if everything's working right, I'm happy to introduce Angel Pena. Angel is the Chief of the Capital Transformation Program for the MBTA, and he's going to open the details of our presentation. Angel?
Thank you, Nancy. Well, on behalf of the MBTA, thank you for joining us today. I'm here with Desiree Patrice, Andres Ashuri, Gwen Dunleavy, Ben Weinstein, and Curly Champion from the Green Line Transformation staff, but also have other project design team members with us as well. Also joining us is Tom Yarley from Masco, and I have other MBTA departments that are here to support us in this presentation, including Heather Hume and Eric Bergman. So the Capital Transformation mission is to improve the quality of service for MBTA riders and communities that we serve. And we do this through a strategic capital investments approach. But I think that before we get started, allow me to take a couple minutes just to highlight how we prioritize this portfolio of investments that's supposed to help you improve the quality of service. So building off the success of the Green Line Transformation, the MBTA formed a Capital Transformation Unit now, this past November, to bring a similar approach with discipline, planning, and execution, not only for the Green Line, but also to the Orange and Red Lines as well. And we take this holistic approach to every project we undertake to improve this quality of service that I'm talking about. To do this, we have categorized each investment based upon its primary purpose. And this includes improving safety and instead of good repair, enhancing accessibility, upgrading trains, increasing capacity, improving the rider experience, and also expanding service. So across the Capital Transformation team, we are committed to transparent and honest communication with all riders as we drive this progress across the three lines. But today we're here to speak about the Green Line, and that's what we're gonna do. We're here to speak about the Green Line Transformation Program. I would like though to take a moment too to just tell you some of those exciting things that we have been able to do the last 3 years or so. Throughout the pandemic, we accelerated work while enforcing strict guidelines to promote the health and well-being of our staff, construction crews, and the community. We also coordinated with the stakeholders across the Commonwealth and communities to implement several full access closures with one main thing in mind, which was to minimize disruptions and deliver these much improvements way sooner. So over the last years, we have successfully utilized this accelerated approach for many of our investments on the Green Line. Let me recap for a moment. We're talking about throughout 9 full access closures that we also call them surges, we were able to replace more than 13 miles of track and 30 units of special track work. And what that means to you is a smoother and safer ride. We also have upgraded 10 crossings and 36 intersections along the surface branches, right? And this brings so much benefits to the communities and many people of the Commonwealth, because these features are unique to the Green Line, because the Green Line crosses all the roadways, interact with motorists, pedestrians, and cyclists, right? But overall, we were able to improve the safety and reliability and complete these track upgrades in just 2 construction seasons that I would have taken 7 years if they were performed on the conventional method, which is during nights and weekend outages. So we're really happy to have been able to bring this way sooner for you. Also last fall, we consolidated 4 inaccessible stations into 2 brand fully accessible stations, the Babcock Street and Emery Street stations. These new stations provide a safer and faster transportation as well on the B branch. It doesn't end there. We also completed the rehabilitation of the Lichmere Viaduct structure. That extends its service life, reduces maintenance costs, and also permits the 110-year-old structure to handle the heavy loads and allow the trains to run across the new Union Branch this spring. And furthermore, we now have an infrastructure in place once we bring the supercars one day to the system to be able to pass the next extension of the line. So we have completed a massive amount of work in the 3.5 years, but this is just the beginning. That work does not stop right here. We're eager to continue to be bringing significant and holistic improvements to the entire Green Line. I do want to take a moment also to bring up also ongoing initiatives that other departments are bringing to the Green Line, such as the transit signal prioritization for the surface branches on the Green Line. So Eric, do you mind giving us a little bit of an update of these efforts?
Sure, thanks, and thanks for having me. This is really exciting and important work, of course. Yeah, one of the things that we had started in just a few years ago, in fact, was updating our traffic signals throughout the region to respond to the presence of a transit vehicle. So that includes on the Green Line when we're on the surface and going through mixed traffic intersections. This is a relatively new technology, and it can in fact increase the speed along or decrease the travel time along the line, decrease the amount of dwell time, and improve safety at the intersections. So one typical approach is as the vehicle approaches, it communicates with our operations center, its location, and the traffic signal automatically adjusts by extending the green light so the train can make it through. So we're really excited about some additional advancements we expect to make in this over the coming year or so, including better measurement of how the system is working and further expanding to include not only Green Line, but also bus. So I'll be here for the meeting and I'm happy to answer any other questions about this.
Thank you, Eric. So moving on, the periods of accelerated work can be painful and disruptive for you. But also they allow us to return a safer, more reliable system back to service faster. By using the full access closures, we are enabled to have the construction crews to be more efficient as well. Let me give you an example. By having a 12-day surge, we can complete the same amount of work as 6 months of weekend closures on night work. So in addition, we always seek for opportunities to amplify when we're out there doing the work on any closure. to maximize the work by actually doing more. So this enables us to have all these multiple projects to gain access at the same time, so we can disrupt you less later on in the future. Using this approach, the team will install the Greenline interpretation equipment, which I'm going to be giving you a little more update later on in the team as well. That's the intent of this full access closures in summer and the Greenline. But also we'll be upgrading the 2.5 miles of track, 10 crossings, and 6 units of special track work used for switching and crossovers. So like in any construction project, we know unexpected things can happen, right? But we'll always do what is best for you, the riders, and their safety. So therefore, my team and I are committed to keeping you informed and provide you updates on this progress through the journey of this construction season. So let's talk a little bit more about what the GLTPS, or Greenline Track Protection System, is so about and how that works. The GLTPS will bring increased safety and reliability for the entire Greenline. And it does that by improving safety through a system of vehicle and ground-based equipment to prevent the train-on-train collisions. Also, it adds red light signal protection and includes incorporated speed enforcement. So definitely, this is something that we are fully committed to bring this to the system. And this project has overlapping of 4 phases. The first phase is the equipment design and validation that integrates the new components into the legacy system. Phase 2 is the vehicle installation that includes installing the new equipment into the Greenline vehicles. Phase 3 is the wayside installation, where we install the upgraded signal equipment on the right-of-way. And phase 4, the operational installation, where we, the MBTA, prepare to use the new safety system. These phases overlap to accelerate their progress and mitigate the service disruption for all riders. But furthermore, we will utilize the full access closures this summer to accelerate the installation of the ground-based equipment in order to enable us to implement the system by December 2023. So let's take a quick look at this brief video, providing an overview of how the system operates. So with that, I think that gives you an idea of how this works, but I'm going to allow Desiree now to review the plan of the construction work for this year. Desiree?
There will be a total of 6 full access closures across the Greenline for the GLTPS wayside equipment installation. GLTPS uses different types of balises or transmitters installed for the communication between the vehicle and the wayside equipment. There are 2 types of balises. The speed balises indicate a change in the allowable speed, while the signal balises guarantee a train stops with sufficient distance before reaching a dangerous point. Junction boxes collect the data from wayside equipment and transmit it to the equipment installed on the train. The upgraded signal heads will specify the allowable speed a train should travel at. Along the B, C, and E branches, the speed balises affixed to the track, wayside, junction boxes, and signal balises will be installed in the D branch, and the E branch along with the upgrades to the signal. As Angel mentioned earlier, we will use these 6 full access closures to upgrade on another 12,000 feet of track, 10 crossings, and 6 units of special track work. By replacing the track and crossing while simultaneously installing GLTPS equipment, we are optimizing the opportunity to complete 2 critical safety and reliability improvements during each full access closure this year. Throughout the construction, there will be increased noise levels, different traffic patterns, reduced parking spaces, and impacts to pedestrians and bikers. These are some of the inconveniences that construction brings, but they are necessary to enable the improvements. For concerns related to levels of the noise, there's a 24-hour noise hotline that has already been set up for members of the community to use. The number for this hotline is shown on this slide and will be available online on the GLTPS project site. Impacts to traffic and parking will be monitored by police officers and offer at key location the detailed signage for the detours that will be installed. As safety is our top priority here at Capital Transformation, crosswalks within work zones will be closed. However, signage will direct pedestrians to alternate accessible pedestrian crossings. Capital Transformation staff will also monitor work sites, bus services, and traffic so we can proactively address challenges as they arise. As construction progresses, there will be many different crews executing the work. Construction activities will look familiar and others will look different. There will be times when activities on the track will seem calm because the installation of GLTPS equipment will utilize smaller and mobile crews. Overall, the work is a little bit quieter. However, you should still expect some noise associated with pavement cutting and patching. During track construction activities, you will see similar activities from the past 2 years, larger construction crews and equipment doing track upgrades. This work is far more visible and disruptive. So, Andres, can you tell us a little bit more in depth of when this work will start?
Sure. The B branch will be our first green line search of the year. We will be closing the B branch beginning on Monday, June 20th until Friday, July 1st. During this 12-day search, regular service will be paused from Boston College to Kenmore to allow from the track and safety upgrades. Accessible shuttle buses will run from start to end of service each day to accommodate the B branch passengers. As part of the GLTPS equipment installation, speed balises or transmitters that indicate a change in the allowable speed, like Desiree mentioned before, will be attached to the track. In addition, over 3,000 feet of track will be replaced between Linden Street intersection and Parker's Corner platform. We will also replace units of special track and upgrade one intersection at Linden Street and one pedestrian crossing at Fordham Road. Taking a look at the general timeline for this work, prep work will begin on Monday, June 6th and wrap up on Friday, June 10th, with crews doing pre-welding and staging material. I want to mention that this prep work will not cause any impact on regular service. Following the end of the US Open, starting on Monday, June 20th until Friday, July 1st, we will start the work by installing the speed balises on the right-of-way and testing them. So for this work, you will see crews installing equipment within the right-of-way, which does not require heavy equipment, so this work won't be noisy or disruptive for vehicles and pedestrians. At the same time, work will start on upgrades to the Linden Street grade crossing. Construction crews will also begin replacing track from Linden Street to Parker's Corner Station, which will be underway for the full 12-day closure. We're also doing the Cardinal crossover and Washington crossover. Those are the pieces of special track where trains can cross from one side of the track to the other. Each one of the crossovers will take roughly 6 days to be replaced. Now, we want to walk you through some of the specifics of the impacts on the different areas. The track replacement from Packards Corner to Linden Street requires westbound lane closure for Brighton Ave to Harbor Ave, but will not impact the eastbound lanes. We are also taking some parking on the westbound side of the Collector Road. While doing this work, the Linden Street crossing will remain closed. Additionally, pedestrian access will be supported with proper signage to direct people safely across Commonwealth Ave. I want to make a note that the only pedestrian crosswalk that will be closed in this area will be the Fordham Road crosswalk. However, Packard Station crosswalk will remain open, but may require short-term closures at certain times. We will update the public when and if the crosswalk needs to be closed. The main section of Commonwealth Ave will remain open for traffic in both directions. We will work with local MBTA and local departments to be present at the active construction zones for the safety of all pedestrians and construction crews. For the 5 days needed to replace the crossover near Boston College, we will keep one lane open for travel in each direction. Similar to the construction from Packards Corner to Harbor Ave, the westbound left lane will be closed between Lake Street and Great Cliff Road for construction installing the special track work at the Cardinal Street crossover. On the eastbound side, we'll take both travel lanes and divert eastbound traffic through the parking lane for about 600 feet between Lake Street and Great Cliff Road to make sure there is enough room for cars to get across the section. With this construction, we do not have any planned impacts to pedestrian access or vehicle crossings. However, there will be no resident parking between Lake Street and Great Cliff Road on Commonwealth Ave heading eastbound. In addition to the traffic management devices, MBTA Transit Police and Boston College Police details will be present at active work zones. Similarly, for the Washington Street crossover upgrade, we need to take the left lane in both directions along Commonwealth Ave to support construction. These lane closures will be in place for the full duration of the closure. For short-term durations, the contractor will need to unload heavy railroad material to take both lanes in a given direction, pushing traffic onto the Collector Road. No parking will be taken at this location. Unlike the Cardinal crossover, police details will be present, and we will actively monitor crosswalks at Washington. Now, Curly, can you walk us through the alternative service that is going to be available for the B-Branch riders?
Absolutely. Just get my camera going. So in terms of alternative service on the B-Branch, we are committed to providing riders with free and accessible shuttle bus service that will run from Boston College to Kenmore. These shuttles will meet and at times exceed the frequency of our current B-Branch schedule. During peak service, riders can expect a shuttle frequency of 3 to 7 minutes and 5 to 8 minutes during off-peak. I do want to mention that although the shuttles are not MBTA buses, they will be low-floored vehicles, providing ease of access for all riders. Stops along Commonwealth Avenue from Babcock Street to Blandford Street will be located at fully accessible Route 57 bus stops, located just adjacent to station platforms. For rider convenience, we've also planned for additional clearly marked and accessible bus stops to be added along Commonwealth Avenue. It's worth noting that parking will not be removed to accommodate any additional bus stops. Due to unsafe and inaccessible sidewalk conditions, shuttle buses will not stop at Packard's Corner, Alston Street, and Warren Street. Please be advised that these stop locations were fully evaluated by the system-wide accessibility team, who determined that the stops were inaccessible. Therefore, for your own safety, riders will be redirected to nearby Washington Street, Griggs Street, Harvard Ave, and Babcock Street stations to board buses at designated bus stops, all within an approximate 3 to 5 minute walk from the unserved location. If this alternative is unfeasible, eligible riders can utilize the ride to get to their destinations. Please contact the Ride Eligibility Center at 617-337-2727 or email trec@paratransit.org. As a reminder for all who are able, there are several Blue Bike stations conveniently located close to stations along the B branch. We will now answer any questions from the community who live along the B branch. Nancy, can you please take us through how this process will work?
Curly, yes, thank you very much. I know many of you are familiar with how to participate in a Q&A on a Zoom, but you can use the raise hand feature. You can send a chat, which we will read. And if you are on the telephone, you hit *9, and then we will see that your hand is raised. Again, you can use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. You can use the chat to send us a question, or if you're on a phone, you use *9. We'll do our best to answer your question. I know we have given you a lot of information. This presentation is posted on the project website, and you can see it there, or you would be able, again, to look at the video and go through it again. But if you wanted to look at the maps, I think you'd probably have a good opportunity by looking at the website. So I want to welcome any questions now from on the B branch. If there's anyone, if there are any elected officials or city or town officials who are present or would like to ask a question, please raise your hand, ask us a question. And at the moment, I don't see any questions. Shayna, am I missing any?
Oh, I do want to note that the chat function itself is disabled. So
Q&A,
please
I'm
submit
sorry.
all
Yes.
questions through the Q&A feature.
Yes.
And you are also able to submit questions anonymously. And we will answer those questions verbally. And we will also unmute you if you raise your hand to ask a question. But yes, please use the Q&A feature as the chat is disabled.
I don't see any questions. We'll wait another moment, see if anyone has any questions. Oh, okay. Yeah, we do have a question. Am I correct that from Kenmore to Packard's only, the GLTPS work will be done, so disruption will be less? And I'm guessing you mean, well, let's see. I'm not quite sure what that question means, but Gwen, maybe you can interpret it better than I can.
Yes, so the GLTPS work will happen all the way from Boston College to Kenmore, but the type of work that is involved in GLTPS is much less disruptive than the track work we've seen in the past. It won't involve any lane closures or intersection closures or heavy equipment that's noisy. It'll just be a couple of people on the right of way working with some electrical equipment. So you are correct that the disruptions will be less with the GLTPS equipment, but it will be happening throughout the line.
Thank you, Gwen. There's another question. How does this fit into the larger reconstruction of Commonwealth Avenue, particularly bike lanes and improved accessibility? That is more of a long-term question and might be something that perhaps Desiree or Andres could address.
Yes, Nancy, and you are correct. This is somewhat of a long-term response. However, in the meantime, since this will be an initiative that will be taken by a number of different stakeholders, we will not hold off in installing GLTPS on the current line while we continue to address it and come to the public later on with the plan of input into what the future of the Green Line on that area will look. When it comes to the bike lanes, this is a city initiative, and we are working hand in hand with them to make sure that it becomes a full city and full use community street.
Thanks, Desiree. And I'll wait another minute if there are no further questions, and we'll go on to the C branch. Okay. I don't see anything else at the moment, so I think Gwen, you are starting the C branch for us.
I am.
Thank you.
Christy. So on the C branch, there will be a 12-day closure from Monday, July 11th through Friday, July 22nd, spanning the entire line from Cleveland Circle to Kenmore. In this 12-day closure, from Monday the 11th to Friday the 22nd, we will be installing speed balises throughout the line and replacing 1,500 feet of track, starting from St. Mary's Portal, heading inside the tunnel up to Beacon Junction, where the D and C branch meet, which is about halfway to Kenmore Station. As Angel mentioned before, this full access closure will save riders 4 to 6 months worth of disruption if this work was accomplished during nights and weekends. As a general schedule for the C branch, prep work will begin on Tuesday, July 5th, and last for 4 days. While this prep work is taking place, there will be no disruptions to regularly scheduled service. GLTPS equipment along with track replacement will begin on Monday, July 11th and continue through the entire duration of the closure. Crews will end the closure by cleaning up and restoring the work site. For the safety of pedestrians and motorists, there will be lane closures from Hawes Street to St. Mary's. The eastbound and westbound left lanes will be closed in this area while track work is underway in the tunnel. However, left lane closures will be temporarily removed during rush hour in the direction of peak traffic from Monday to Friday. The Carlton Street track crossing, as well as crosswalks throughout the work zone, will be closed for the duration of construction. Pedestrian detour signage will be set up to direct pedestrians to cross Beacon Street at Hawes Street or at Park Drive. The median parking areas between St. Mary Station and Hawes Street will be used for construction vehicles and overall track reconstruction activities. Curly, can you share what alternative service is going to be available to C branch riders?
Absolutely. So utilizing low-floored private carriers, our shuttle schedule will again meet and at times exceed the frequency of our current C branch schedule. Again, during peak service, riders can expect a shuttle frequency headway of about 5 to 6 minutes and 5 to 8 minutes during off-peak. Shuttle stops will be located near existing C branch platforms. However, I would like to highlight that we will be consolidating 2 stops, Brandon Hall and Kent Street, in both directions. Again, consolidating 2 stops, Brandon Hall and Kent Street, in both directions. So instead of boarding buses at Brandon Hall, riders will be directed to either Fairbanks Street or Summit Avenue, and to either St. Paul Street or Hawes Street instead of Kent Street. There will be proper signage located along the route to notify passengers where they can board the shuttle. It's important to note that minimizing the number of stops improves overall shuttle bus efficiency. This is connected to the consolidation of stops. This allows riders to reach their destination in the most reliable manner possible. Some would see it as an inconvenience, but it is a practice to minimize the number of stops and the stopping and going. So as I previously mentioned, for those who are eligible, the ride may be used to schedule trips as needed. As a second reminder, similar to the B branch, Blue Bikes are available along the C branch. Many Blue Bike stations are located close to station platforms. Now I'll turn it back over to Nancy and give you all the opportunity to ask further questions.
Thank you, Curly. And I'll remind everyone that you can use the Q&A. You can raise your hand, or you can use, if you're participating by phone, use *9. And we will look for any questions that have come in on the C branch. I don't see any at the moment. I don't know if there are any elected officials or city or town officials who would like to ask a question. No? If not, it's quiet. I think probably Gwen will go on to the E branch.
Be happy to, Nancy. So for the E branch, we will have a 16-day full access closure from Saturday, August 6th to Sunday, August 21st. This closure will be used to install GLTPS components, including installation within the tunnel and along the surface portion of the branch. In these 16 days, from Saturday the 6th to Sunday the 21st, we will also be able to replace 2,000 feet of track between Longwood Avenue and Brigham Circle, the 250-foot northeastern siding track, and 400 feet within the Heath Street Loop. The track work we will undertake will complete all of the standard track renewal on the surface section of the E branch. The renewal of this track has been a major goal and results in improved safety, reliability, and comfort while reducing slow zones for our riders. Additionally, thanks to the work that was done in last year's surge, completing the track at the Tremont Street intersection, our work this year will not require the closure of this intersection or the removal of outdoor dining for the local restaurants. Prep work for construction will begin on August 1st and be going through on Friday the 5th. Doing this work prior to the start of our full access shutdown helps maximize the work we can do while the line is shut down by getting any pre-work and material staging done while service continues to run. Once prep work is complete, we will begin GLTPS wayside equipment installation across the branch and begin reconstruction of the Heath Street Loop starting along South Huntington Ave. Construction crews will also commence track replacement from Brigham Circle to Longwood Avenue. As the surge continues, crews will move across the E branch, replacing tracked and special track work, helping to rehabilitate and improve safety across the line. While track is being replaced, there will be some minimal traffic diversions. Left lanes will be closed between Tremont Street and the Mass Art Museum, with one travel lane in each direction remaining open along Huntington Ave. The Wigglesworth crossover will be reconstructed at the same time as the tracks between Brigham Circle and Longwood Avenue. The Longwood Avenue crossing of Huntington Ave will remain closed for the duration of the construction to facilitate the completion of all this work. I'll speak more about this in a moment. Police details will be active in all work zones, and all pedestrian crossings within the work zone will be closed. Signage guiding traffic and pedestrians will be on display for all those who find themselves along this section of the E branch. As I previously stated, the Longwood Avenue crossing of Huntington Ave will remain closed for the duration of the surge to all but emergency vehicles. Drivers needing to cross Huntington Ave will be able to make U-turns at the intersection of Francis and Tremont Street and at the Evans Way crossing. Pedestrians will be able to cross at Brigham Circle and Evans Way. Now it's my pleasure to turn it over to Tom Yardley with Masco, who will be working with his team on the beautification of Huntington Ave during this time.
I think everyone can hear me here. So we were very happy to collaborate with the Green Line Transformation team. This map shows locations where we are replacing dead trees Masco has been responsible for quite some time, just over a decade actually, for a total of 225 trees on Huntington Avenue. And so by working with the team here, we were able to coordinate the needed replacement of these trees with the work happening this August. So we're thrilled to be able to do that. And I'm looking forward to that partnership, which has been very successful for us, working adjacent our very busy district. I don't have any more comments on this particular slide, but if anyone wants to ask me any questions after this about the work we do, I'd be happy to answer that, and I'll pass it back to Gwen. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Moving along the line. Next.
Pardon me, Gwen. I believe we have a question from Dolores Boogdanian. So I believe it might be about the trees at the E branch. I'm going to allow Doris to speak.
Yes,
Doris,
hi,
you should be able to speak now.
Yes, thank you so much. Hi, Tom. This is Dolly Boogdanian.
Hi, Dolly.
Hi. This is wonderful, the idea of putting in street trees, which of course makes our city so much more attractive. Just is there going to be any maintenance and watering of our new trees, the new trees you'd be putting in? Because I think that's so important.
No, there is. Thanks, Dolly. These aren't new trees. Well, they're new here, but they're replacement of existing trees. And it's a very challenging environment to maintain trees, but we're doing our best out here. You know, we have an arborist, and we'll be putting gator bags on them and making sure that they're properly taken care of.
Okay, well, thank you for your question, and thank you for your answer, Tom. So the next area we're going to discuss is going to be the area near Forsyth Way. The Forsyth Way grade crossing and the left lanes in both directions of Huntington Ave will be closed between Forsyth Street and Forsyth Way. Additionally, the metered parking spaces and the southbound lane of Forsyth Way will be closed from August 1st through the end of the surge, 24 hours a day. Traffic will temporarily shift on Forsyth Way to allow a single lane in each direction. All pedestrian crossings located within the track work zone shall be closed, and with signage clearly directing passage of pedestrians to open crossings. Lastly, we can talk about the Heath Street on E Branch. During the upgrades of the Heath Street loop, construction will be broken into 3 phases to limit the traffic impacts. Construction will start along South Huntington Ave and progress towards Heath Street. Phase 1 lane closures will commence the first weekend of the surge, starting on August 6th, lasting to August 9th. During this period, there will be 1 travel lane on South Huntington Ave open for alternating bi-directional traffic, with construction crews and police details managing the flow of traffic. Phase 2 reconstruction will not require any lane closures. However, there will be a lane shift on Heath Street. Phase 2 will take place from August 9th to August 11th. During the second week of the surge, from August 11th to the 15th, Phase 3 lane closures will be set up. During this period, Heath Street will be limited to 1 lane of alternating bidirectional traffic with contractors and police details there to direct the flow. At no time will both South Huntington and Heath Street lane closures be implemented at the same time. In addition to the traffic management devices, MBTA Transit Police, City of Boston, and construction crew laborers will be present at all active work zones to help direct pedestrians and vehicles. All pedestrian crossings located within the work zone shall be closed, and signage directing pedestrians will be set up for the entire duration of the work. Currently, what alternative service will be in place for E-Branch riders?
Okay, so for the E-Branch, riders can expect enhanced Route 39 bus service between Heath Street and Copley Station, as additional bus service from Forest Hills to Back Bay will meet or exceed the frequency of the current E-Branch schedule. Normal Route 39 accessible and signed bus stops along Huntington and South Huntington Avenues will be used for stops for alternative service. It's also important to note two things. One, that during the time the Longwood Ave intersection is closed, Route CT2 from Sullivan Square to Ruggles Station may require additional travel time due to detours. And the second thing is, during the reconstruction of the Heath Street Loop, the boarding area for Route 14 from Heath Street to Rosendale Square will be temporarily relocated to an accessible and signed location just outside of the work zone. Nancy, I think now would be a great time to take more comments.
Thank you, Curly. A reminder again that you can use the Q&A and you can raise your hand or you can use *9. So let us know if you have any questions about that segment on the E branch. Here's a question. You talk about doing GLTPS installation in the Huntington Avenue tunnel, but not in the rest of the tunnel. Will there be closures of the main tunnel in the future for this work? That's a good question. I think Gwen, you were going to answer that question. Thank you.
I would be happy to. We are still planning the specifics of future closures, but yes, GLTPS will be installed throughout the entirety of the Green Line, not only on the surface branches, but in the tunnel and in the new GLX areas.
All right, great. Thank you. Are there any other questions on E branch or related topics? We do have D branch coming up. And I don't see anything else at the moment.
I see
You see?
one raised hand for
Okay.
Matthew Wong. I'm going to ask you to unmute and you should be able
Okay.
to speak.
Hello?
Yes, we
Hello,
can hear you.
we hear you,
Hi.
Matthew.
Hi. So I have two things. The one thing I just wanted to ask, I don't know if it's possible, but would it be possible while you're reconstructing the Heath Street Loop, is there any way to consider reversing the switches in and out of the loop from Huntington Avenue so that people can actually use the center platform? Because as currently, because of the platform is on the left side of the train right now when it comes in and boards, and people have to board on the right side in order to pay their fare. And so the result is that you have this little platform, island platform there that isn't really usable, and you have the benches and everything that isn't really usable by waiting passengers, because then you have to go on the other side of the train over where 14 boards in order to actually board the train. So my question would be, is it possible to flip the switches in the loop so that terminating trains come in from Heath Street and then leave via Huntington Avenue rather than the other way around, so that it's actually possible for awaiting passengers to use this beautiful infrastructure that's there, but currently doesn't really have a purpose at this point?
So this is kind of a yard question. So Matt, I'm gonna see if you could address this question. Matthew Wong has clearly been thinking about this. Matt, you there?
Yes, for this specific project, we're doing maintenance. So we're going to keep the track to its current state. But there is other work that's being planned and ongoing where we're looking at designs for future configuration of the Heath Street station.
All right, thank you. I think also, Tom Yardley, did you have your hand up? Did I see?
Thanks, Nancy. Yeah, just a quick, I don't want to take people's time this evening, but I really do want to just mention our support for the eBranch work in general, notwithstanding people's good individual technical comments. But as you all know, MASCO, whom I represent, is a nonprofit organization, and we represent all the medical and academic and cultural institutions in Longwood. And quickly, just to cut to the chase, this overall transformation project is actually critical to really the city as a whole, not just our district as well. Future phases are going to double the capacity on the D&E lines with the purchase of larger Type 10 cars. And this is all very much setting the table for that work. And I just can't emphasize how critical it is to us. It's going to provide relief from peak hour crowding, increase capacity, reliability, safety, and it's improving crossing and safety in the streets as well. The tracks that were replaced last year around Brigham Circle now sit in the street bed much more comfortably. There's very few gaps. It's much safer to cross. These are very important improvements. So the ability to make these surges and do this work so efficiently is absolutely critical to the functioning of one of the districts and really the region's major medical districts. So I really do want to offer our extremely strong support for this work. The coordination has been very good as well. So we look forward to continuing this. And I really just wanted to make sure we were on record to express our support for the project and to really help explain how critical it is to our particular district and needs.
Tom, thank you very much. And of course, all of us are fans of the trees, so we're really happy to partner with you on that particular element of the project. I see, Matthew, you have possibly another question. So you've raised your hand. We're going to unmute you.
Yes. So the other thing I wanted to ask is that something really needs to be done about the safety of the street running stops between Brigham Circle and Heath Street, because every time I ride the train through there and every time I walk along Huntington Avenue there, like drivers are constantly ignoring the little embedded stop sign in the trolley doors. And I mean, operators will ring their bells and like sometimes like crazy, they'll ring the bells like crazy and people still blow right past the trolley when it's stopped, trying to let people on and off. And this thing of literally boarding and alighting the train in the middle of the street with no infrastructure whatsoever is just really not safe. And as part of that, I wonder if there's any ridership, if we could get like some ridership data for Fenwood Road and back of the hill stations, because those stations, to be honest, seem kind of redundant. They're extremely close to Brigham Circle and Heath Street, respectively, and so I'd wonder if those stops could just be closed. And then with Riverway and Mission Park, something has to be done to make those stops safer. I don't know what could be done, to be honest. I mean, but I just know that something has to be done to make that street running section safer, because one of these days somebody is going to be hit by a car trying to get on and off at those stops, and I just don't want to see that happen. I don't think anybody does.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to be done about that. But
we agree, and I think Desiree is going to try to address some of these issues. Matthew, thank you for your concern.
Yes, Nancy, and Matthew, thanks for bringing this up. As we right now we are addressing some state of good repair, but you should know that our long-term work that we are planning to do on the E branch will have serious engagement with community, and there are plans in actually how we could redo the E branch surface between the Brigham Circle and Heath Street. So we urge you to keep your ear to the ground, because there will be engagement meetings where we will be coming out to the community, because what you see here in the future will be way different, because the plan is to make all the stops along the E branch accessible without interference and fear of walking or taking the E branch or getting off the trains. So please bear with us. We are in the middle of putting all these in action, and there will be many meetings, yes, and even considering consolidation to eliminate some of this bunching that you just spoke about. So please bear with us, and we will keep you, and you can always feel free to reach out to us to get your email for when these projects are coming up, that you'll be able to attend and to provide this feedback you're giving us. And also note, the feedback that you gave us is not going unattended. Thank you.
Thank you, Desiree. Mr. Lithin, I'm going to ask you to wait to ask your question about D-Line until after we finish the next segment, which is about D-Line, and then I'll welcome you to speak at that time. And so at this point, I think I'm giving this to Ben. Ben?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So we will have a total of 3 9-day closures on the D branch from Saturday, September 24th to Sunday, October 30th. The first surge will go from Saturday, September 24th to Sunday, October 2nd. The second will be from Saturday, October 8th to Sunday, October 16th. And the final surge will be from Saturday, October 22nd to Sunday, October 30th. During these full access closures, crews will install equipment for GLTPS along the entire line, including upgraded signal heads, balises, and wayside junction boxes. These closures will also allow us to replace 5,300 feet of track and upgrade 5 station crossings at Waubun, Elliott, and Houghton Gardens. Prep work will begin Monday, September 19th and last for 5 days. In this time, there will be no disruptions to service for D Branch riders. Once prep work is complete, the first 9-day surge will begin. The first surge will include GLTPS wayside equipment installation and full depth track and crossing reconstruction at Waubun Station. After 5 days of regularly scheduled service, the second closure will begin for continued GLTPS installation and track and crossing reconstruction at Elliott Station. Following another 5 days of regularly scheduled service, the last surge, beginning on Saturday, October 22nd, is where crews will continue and complete wayside installation and reconstruct the track and crossing at Houghton Gardens. As track reconstruction is occurring at Waubun Station, Elliott Station, and Houghton Gardens, we will also be upgrading each pedestrian crossing and reconstructing truck pads with rubber panels. This construction creates a smoother ride for D Branch passengers and increases safety for pedestrians walking throughout the area and those boarding or getting off the train. This will also set up our team for our D Branch 4 stations accessibility upgrades at Beaconsfield, Chestnut Hill, Elliott, and Waubun stations. This project will make the D Branch the first fully accessible branch of the Green Line. Stay tuned for a public meeting focused on that project later on this year in the summer, and construction starting in 2023. Although these improvements are necessary for D Branch riders, our closures will impact regularly scheduled service. Curly, can you let us know what D Branch riders can expect?
Sure can. So D Branch riders can expect private carrier shuttle buses to replace Green Line service from Riverside to Kenmore during each full access closure, with a 6 to 7 minute peak service headway and a 7 to 8 minute headway for off-peak. I'd like to highlight that shuttle buses will not be able to service Beaconsfield due to narrow roads in the area. Riders can board our shuttle buses at Reservoir Station, which is a 9-minute walk, or travel to Dean Road, a 2-minute walk for C Branch connections. Please note that we will be monitoring bus demand and capacity throughout the surge to ensure that there are enough buses to handle the safe travel of all riders. To accommodate riders attending games or events at Fenway Park during the closures, there will be an express shuttle from Riverside to Copley. The express shuttle will depart from Riverside Station and take the Massachusetts Turnpike, or I-90, to Copley Square. This gives riders the option for a quick, direct route to Copley Square. I think it's a good time now to answer any questions from those who travel on the D Branch. To you, Nancy.
Great, thank you, Crowley. And I think, Mr. Litvin, you've been waiting patiently. So if you can raise your hand, we can acknowledge you to ask your question. Yes, your hand's up. Go ahead. We will unmute you. You should be able to speak, Mr. Litvin.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Ms. Farrell. Good evening. My name is Ellie Litvin. I'm an abutter of the Beaconsfield T-stop on the Green Line. A copy of my remarks will be emailed to the transformation team at GLT, Office of State AG, Brookline neighbors, and state and local officials. For many residents surrounding the Beaconsfield T-stop, some of the recent notices from MBTA have come as quite a shock. I'm going to speak to some of those concerns tonight, which includes the work that has been discussed at this meeting. I'm sure all of you are aware, Beaconsfield was, for all intents and purposes, under occupation by the most disruptive and unprofessional MBTA construction workers and contractors from 2018 to late 2021. For the sake of time, I'll just leave you with the Reader's Digest version of the past several years of disruptive MBTA activity at Beaconsfield with 4 words: PTSD and state AG investigation. The constant shifting of the deadlines, goalposts, the unacceptable behavior in addressing well-documented noise pollution issues with MBTA, as well as its contractors and construction workers, has led us to escalate the issue to the Attorney General's office. And this is why I and many other abutters within Beaconsfield community are frankly so appalled at the MBTA's apparent expansion of what was presented to us last year as just some necessary upgrades to improve accessibility and maintain the current state of operations. Since that meeting took place, the MBTA has apparently made a unilateral decision to build a path which connects Beaconsfield Station to Dean Park. I can't imagine anything more inequitable than an MBTA that can't even bother to subsidize free rides for underprivileged people from getting to school or work, but somehow has what I'm guessing is a plethora of ARPA dollars to waste on a project that not a single Beaconsfield abutter has asked for. In addition, after 4 years of endless noise pollution, where the MBTA supposedly spent that time, the bulk of construction activity, in replacing rails, we're really replacing the rails again. I'd like to make it known to MBTA and the GLT team that an organized coalition of abutters from Beaconsfield, Clark, Clinton, and Dean Roads are committed to no longer allowing MBTA to make unilateral decisions that affect our quality of life without putting in a bare minimum of oversight, accountability, and responsiveness to community stakeholder feedback. In terms of the most galling issue, which is the proposed path construction between Beaconsfield and Dean Park, we're urging state and local officials to compel the MBTA to send letters and robocalls to all concerned parties. The surrounding residents, along with others, must be given a voice. Residents must be informed of these proposed changes, made aware of the anticipated disruptions up to the decibel level, and we must be afforded the opportunity to make our opposition or support known before a final decision on the path is made. This is of the utmost priority. I work from home, so I also have the benefit of having a bird's eye view of the comings and goings at Beaconsfield MBTA from dusk to dawn. To say that foot traffic here is limited would be an understatement. So why exactly are we so focused on Beaconsfield rather than the neighboring Reservoir Station on the D line? Reservoir Station isn't surrounded by nearly as many residential abutters as Beaconsfield. It just seems illogical to me. And in regards to both the proposed accessibility improvements at Beaconsfield, as well as the train protection installation, the abutters expect a full and detailed outline of both the start and end dates, the anticipated noise disruptions up to the decibel level, and methods of ensuring an immediate resolution to noise pollution, especially at night. The start and end dates must be adhered to, unlike the previous Beaconsfield project where the end date was delayed by at least 1.5 years. The noise hotline we had at Beaconsfield during the prior 4 years of work failed to resolve a single noise issue in a real-time manner. It's billed as a 24/7 hotline when it's really just a glorified answering service. Needless to say, this is not an acceptable form of communication for future projects. We need a direct number for a foreman who's able to take immediate action whenever workers are being unnecessarily unprofessional and disruptive to my Beaconsfield neighbors, which has unfortunately been a common occurrence. And I cannot stress enough the emotional and psychological damage that you have caused to Beaconsfield abutters during a pandemic, no less, depriving most of us of much needed sleep just about every night. To be clear, we're not opposed to station improvements that are absolutely necessary to maintain an existing state of operations and improve accessibility for commuters, but we do oppose any and all unilateral decisions that are aesthetic and non-essential in their nature, where the cost of the disruption, both in terms of the mental health of abutters, as well as in the opportunity cost of wasting funds on a station that has very minimal commuter traffic, are not justified. Instead, why not target a much broader and more diverse section of MBTA commuters? Finally, while the actual tracks and their immediate surroundings might be the property of the MBTA, the actual Beaconsfield Road belongs to the town of Brookline and to the abutters. Without exception, no MBTA or contractor vehicle may be permitted to park or idle on Beaconsfield Road during the projects. This is a red line that we expect to be enforced by Brookline Police Department, and we urge Brookline town officials to be proactive in enforcing this. In the prior 4 years of MBTA worker occupation of Beaconsfield, the MBTA and its contractors have utterly failed in their fiduciary duty to the abutters. This cannot be allowed to happen again. The abutters of Beaconsfield and I look forward to the MBTA's anticipated cooperation in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lithin. Ben, did you want to address any of the issues that Mr. Lithin raised?
Yeah, definitely. Ellie, thank you for raising your concerns to us. And I want to try and address them one by one. I guess the first priority of our program is safety and accessibility, but we do prioritize doing this in as efficient and as in the least invasive method possible. So in terms of the path from Beaconsfield to Waldstein Park, that was a change based on request by the town of Brookline. So we were trying to reach out as much as possible to all stakeholders involved in the Beaconsfield area and the town of Brookline in order to make we're trying to make that request come true to the town of Brookline. But please feel free to submit more input on that. In terms of the track construction, I do want to be clear that the track work is for the most part complete at Beaconsfield, and we do not plan on redoing any work that we've done. The work this summer should be relatively non-invasive and really just include the train protection system. There's no track work being done at Beaconsfield this summer. And I believe this was your last question regarding the station upgrades at Beaconsfield versus somewhere like Reservoir. Reservoir is already an accessible station, so we do not have work planned currently for that station, whereas Beaconsfield is not an accessible station. And so we plan on upgrading that station next summer for accessibility. And again, we plan using our surge techniques and any other techniques possible to mitigate noise or any issues you may come across. But these activities do create some noise, but we will do the best we can to mitigate that.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah.
I actually
Go ahead,
wanted
Gwen.
to add a couple more comments just to make sure we fully answer everything that Eli has talked about. So one thing he mentioned is that we were just replacing tracks, and we're replacing tracks again. The D branch is the longest branch of the Green Line, so there is a lot of track to replace. We are making an effort to get all of the tracks within the Green Line up to a state of good repair, and that is a lot of work. The D Branch Track and Signal Project, which he was referring to, did take a long time. That it was a big project, and there's more work to do. Fortunately for the residents of Beaconsfield, the track replacement in that area, as Ben had stated, is complete, and we will continue to work in areas to make sure that all of the track is up to a state of repair for the safety and reliability for our riders. We have made efforts to move as much of the noisy work as possible away from the Beaconsfield area to other truck pads that have less abutters, and to be as cognizant as possible of those noise issues that have been brought to our attention. We have replied always to all of the complaints that we get or noise notifications. Sometimes we do not get back right within an hour, but we always have people who are monitoring that line and taking efforts to try to reduce that noise and get notified when we get those that information about noise levels beyond what is expected. And I also want to just address that, as Ben said, safety and reliability is the #1 for our department, followed by accessibility. And both of those are key to our program. So upgrades that increase safety, increase reliability, and increase accessibility are always going to have to be something that we keep an eye on, but we will also always be looking for feedback from all of our abutters, riders, and anyone else who has an interest in the MBTA, so that we can make sure that everyone gets heard. That's why we have meetings like this, to make sure people can stay informed and can have their opinion heard by the team here at GLT and at the MBTA.
Thank you, Gwen and Ben. We have 2 more D-Line questions or speakers. Dolores Bogdanian, we will unmute you and welcome you, Dolores.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Dolores Bogdanian. Thanks for saying my name. It's a tough one. And for this evening's opportunity to hear what's happening on our Green Line. I live very close across the street from the Fenway T Station, and a lot of work's been done at the Fenway T Station with regard to the portal project. I feel Mr. Littman's pain when work is done overnight. You know, the kind of noise that abutters are subjected to can be very disruptive. So I understand that there is concern about, you know, when this work is done, which we all acknowledge is important and necessary, you know, being done in a way that is respectful of and cognizant of the impact of the people who live, you know, literally on these tracks is so important. I guess I have a question. It sounded from the presentation that there is not expected to be additional work done at the Fenway T Station or on the line, the track approaching it. And I guess if you could confirm that for me, after, you know, that would be great to understand that. And because of course there's the backup alarms on construction vehicles, there are the lights that are needed when you're doing night work. All of that has an immediate impact on people living along the line. So whether that's anticipated at Fenway T Station or coming up to it, I'd like to know if that's anticipated. The other question I guess I had, there were two. One is when you say rush hours, when you're not going to be doing work or lane closures on Beacon Street, for example, during rush hour, if you could just identify what those hours are, that would be great. That might be helpful for people. And the other question I had was with regard to the buses. You're going to be offering alternative service via shuttle buses. One of the things that I found very unfortunate and disruptive was the queuing of buses at the Fenway T Station during the work that was happening on the D line. There were 6 to 9 buses queued on Park Drive, idling, making noise, the whole, you know, the air brakes, all of that, when there were very few riders getting on these buses. You didn't need 6 to 9 buses queued at the station. So I wanted to get some feedback from you. I don't know how it's impacted other lines, but on the D line at the Fenway T Station, when bus service is offered as an alternative, it's turned out to be a very disruptive event in our neighborhood because of these queued buses with very little movement, very little ridership, and therefore seemingly unnecessary in terms of fuel, resources, and equipment. So, but I do want to end my comments to say thank you so much to the MBTA for the beautiful gardens that were planted along the sea line. This spring was beautiful. So thanks for that.
Well, good. I'm glad we're able to bring you some good, Dolores, but I think Gwen's going to try to at least address the first couple of questions. And I don't know, can you do queuing too, Gwen?
I can do queuing too.
Okay.
So to start off, you are correct. We are not doing any track work during these surges in the Fenway area. Our track work is going to be at Waban Station, Elliott Station, and in the Hammond Park Reservation area, Houghton Gardens. But I do want to mention that unlike what we talked about on the B, C, and E surface branches, because the D branch is a signalized system, the work in GLTPS will be a little more work intense, I guess. It won't be to the levels that you would see with track replacement, but they will likely have a couple of smaller construction vehicles like pickup trucks on the right of way. And they will be in each location a little longer than what you would see on the surface branches. It still should be very much less than you would expect from track replacement though. And because we are doing the entire line in these 3 closures, they're not going to be in any one area for very long. I would expect any given area, they would be for a day, maybe 2 at most, before they have to move on to the next area to get through the whole line for this surge. To move on to your second question, the peak or rush hours. the typical, what we consider rush hours, I believe, are between 7 and 9 a.m. going inbound and between 4 and 7 p.m. going outbound from the city. I'll put that as a caveat that that is roughly correct. It will be a decision that is made kind of based on traffic levels at the time. So it may vary a little bit based on when the traffic starts to pick up and when it starts to die down. The last, as far as the queuing goes, for a lot of the diversions that were had during the D Branch track and signal project that you were referring to with the bus queuing, the diversions would end at Fenway. So that would be the place where the buses would queue. But for these surges, the diversions are all going to Kenmore. So there shouldn't be too much queuing at Fenway. Probably 1, maybe 2 buses at most. The majority of queuing would either be happening at the 2 ends of the diversion, so Riverside or at Kenmore.
Oh, thank you, Gwen. Appreciate that. And I think we answered those questions, but please, Dolores, feel free to send us an email if you run into any other problems going forward. And Todd, thank you for your patience. We're going to unmute you right now. Todd from the Town of Brookline. Todd Corain.
How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Todd. Thank you.
Just for the record, my name is Todd Corain. I'm the Transportation Administrator for the Town of Brookline, and I'm attending tonight representing Erin Galentine, who's the Commissioner of Public Works. I wanted to thank the GLT team for continuing your commitment to informing the public of ongoing construction, its impacts, and its ultimate benefits through this public information session on these 4 projects across the all 4 branches of the Green Line, and your commitment to public meetings for future projects around station accessibility, something that the town shares your commitment to in order to ensure transportation equity for all. We look forward to working with the GLT team in the coming weeks and months to ensure that the construction activity and impact on adjacent Brookline properties is minimal in respect of the residents, but allows you to continue this important work and ensure it's done in a timely fashion. Before I get to my question, I also wanted to confirm that the GLT team is correct. At the request of the Town of Brookline, Department of Public Works, the Transportation Board, the Shared Mobility Advisory Committee, and the Parks and Recreation Commission, as well as the Safe Routes to School program, we did ask the GLT team to explore the possibility of a direct pedestrian connection from Beaconsfield along the tracks, well, adjacent to the tracks, to the nearby park and playground area that would allow for access, immediate access, without having to use the steps up and down or the long pedestrian diversion through the park, through the pathway across Dean Road, down Beaconsfield, and in through the parking lot. That is not necessarily the most accessible and direct route. So I want to thank you for continuing to explore that and promise the residents that this will go through a full hearing before the Transportation Board, as the GLT team has done with other prospective projects along the Boston Brookline corridor. And we're committed to that public process as well and working with you on that. For the one question I had about this, Curly made a point of ensuring that he said that all of the buses along the other routes would be low boarding. And he did not say that for the D line. So I just want to make sure that the buses used for the D line diversion will also have the low boarding for accessible purposes.
Well, first of all, Todd, thank you for clarifying those things, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. Curly, did we miss something on the D branch about the buses?
So in terms of low floor, we are committed to providing low floors throughout the entire service, throughout the entire surge. Where low floors will be mainly on local routes and utilizing coach or with high floor buses on express routes.
Okay. So that probably means on the D branch, anything that's not an express would probably should be low floor.
Low floor.
Okay, great.
Correct.
Okay, great. Todd, is that it? That seems to answer that question, but come back to us if you need more info. Thank you, Curly. We've got a hand up, Griffin Budd, I believe, and we'll unmute you, Griffin.
Yeah, thanks. I had a question about how this Green Line project relates to, on the B line specifically, relates to another project on Com Ave redesign that was mostly related to street changes and sidewalk changes. But it sounds like MBTA took over that project from a different department in the city. And I was, I guess, looking for some clarification about that sort of switch in management of these different projects.
Well, Desiree, I think you addressed this a little bit earlier. Could you tell Griffin what's happening?
Yes, certainly. And Griffin, thanks for bringing this up. In case you missed the comments that were related to the B branch. Again, we are in the long range planning, and this work on Com Ave on the upper section, doing a joint venture with the city of Boston as well. So this is an ongoing project that will be coming soon to get public participation to help to do the design and to incorporate the full street design that is currently planned for that area. So yes, we are looking into how we can incorporate this design with the city and everybody else that's in that corridor.
Great, thank you, Desiree. Yeah. I don't see any more questions, and the hour is moving on. So, Angel, I'm going to ask you to address community engagement and outreach and the commitment that we have going forward.
Actually, Nancy, let me jump in, and Angel will wrap us up towards the end.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
So for community engagement, so there is going to be a lot of work going on in the Green Line. And it's our job to keep riders informed regarding all the service changes across the system. Construction can sometimes be unpredictable, as we know, and changes in the field condition as we uncover certain things in the construction zone can lead to unexpected outcomes. However, we assure you that we will keep you informed if any plans change, and we provide regular updates. It is our commitment to do the best for our riders and their safety. And we will always try to notify way early as soon as these issues come up. The MBTA is committed, however, to avoiding unplanned disruptions while we implement these crucial investments to improve the safety and reliability. You can expect us to offer clear signage to the customers, and service representatives will be on site to help riders locate to the nearest bus stops while the Green Line is out of service. Construction activities along of uncertainty regarding how to get around, but we will assure you that adequate signage is displayed, clearly marked where to board the replacement and alternate service. More importantly, we are committed to providing timely updates, as I mentioned earlier, on our website and our public communication channels so that the community has the most up-to-date information on traffic patterns and bus stops, location changes throughout. For the motorists, we will set up changeable message signs 48 hours before construction starts, and one to seek alternate routes while the Green Line is under construction. So, as we said earlier, there will be noise, but we are implementing strategies to mitigate its severity. So, Angel?
Yeah, so we're gonna be, and we have been very active in getting the word out on this summer for the planned construction for the Green Line. Starting that you probably got a press release back in April 29th, announcing the work and give you a little further notice about what this was going to be and invited you to this meeting today. But we also have distributed flyers in 4 different languages encouraging participation for tonight's event. And we committed also, like we have done in the past, to be supporting the local businesses by distributing signage for them to display and indicating that they're open while we're in construction. We also will continue to be responding to our emails that you send to our GLT inbox account at glt@mbta.com. But most importantly, we are committed to always, like Desiree said, communicate way in advance and give you weekly updates on how this work is progressing. So stay in tune. We're very committed. I am very committed as we progress the work on each of these branches that you're quite aware how is that coming along. So I want to also personally thank all the community groups and the organizations. I want to thank you for being here tonight and give us the comments. We will always take that and do the best we can. And because it also shows the commitment that the transformation of this green line doesn't reside only on us, it resides on you as well. So I look forward to a continued collaboration and through this summer as we bring all this construction schedule. And again, remember what we're doing here. I know it's painful, but we're trying to bring this much benefits for safety for everyone much faster than it could have been taken for everybody on the green line. Another thing that I also want to do is how you can stay connected with us. I mean, it's our main priority with this team to keep our riders informed and also be transparent and always honest to you, despite of how painful it can be what you're hearing. So we're committed to do this project right and the work we do. And this is why we're here tonight as we show you how the work that we're planning, how that's going to be done. But I also want to be able to bring back that we also, in the last 2 years, have been able to complete what we promised you, okay? We have been able to do around 9 full access closures in the last 2 years. And we have been able to do that based on the plan that we put together, that we communicated to you, and we have been able to put that on time and give you back the green line on time, and sometimes ahead of schedule. So we're always going to be committed to do the best we can, GLT, to try to have that continued track record that we have done with you. Although I gotta be honest too, right? There's always a possibility of unforeseen events. It happens in any construction, right? But we're committed. I am committed to keep you informed what, if anything, at any time happens. So you're able to adjust much faster in your travel plans and your travel times. So again, do not hesitate to reach out to us or any questions at glt@mbta.com or any of your elected officials and constituents. We work closely with them. And I encourage you to really subscribe to our alerts on MBTA /alerts, but also monitor our website. We really try to do the best we can to keep up the most up-to-date information. So with that, I think, and Nancy, I think this has been a great night. It's been a lot that we take in. I really appreciate you to be here right now with us and allow us to walk you through each branch and allow us to have a Q&A for the people that matters to them, that branch, more in particular than others. So thank you for everything. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments. This is why we do what we do, to hear your thoughts, to hear your concerns, so we can try the best we can to do and keep that in mind as we progress the construction. Nancy?
Angel, thank you. Thank you to everyone who participated, who asked questions. Don't forget, we welcome your questions afterward. The presentation is posted on our website, and if you'd like to go back and review any details, please do so. And have a lovely spring evening, and thanks again.